What? On a quiet stretch of highway, Clint Eastwood's car came to an unexpected halt. The tire had blown out, leaving him stranded in the middle of nowhere. As he assessed the situation, a truck driver pulled up beside him, stopping to offer assistance. Without hesitation, the driver got to work, changing the tire with the efficiency of someone who had done this countless times before. Clint watched silently, not wanting to interrupt but curious about the man's focus and skill. As the tire was replaced and the truck driver finished his work, Clint, ever the quiet observer, asked, "Anything I can do for you?" The driver shrugged and without a second thought replied, "Just helping out. That's what we do." The remarkable part? The truck driver had no idea who Clint Eastwood was. As Clint got back into his car, he couldn't help but smile, impressed by the truck driver's humility and kindness. The man had treated him like anyone else. No fanfare, no recognition, just a genuine willingness to help a fellow person in need. The encounter left Clint reflecting on the simple acts of kindness that often go unnoticed. He had spent a lifetime in the spotlight, yet here was a man who showed the greatest strength in his quiet actions. Clint offered the driver a handshake and said, "I really appreciate this. It's not every day someone does something like this for a stranger." The driver simply nodded, his face expressionless but with a small smile. He didn't need to know who Clint Eastwood was to make a difference. As Clint drove away, he couldn't shake the memory of the truck driver's simple act of kindness. It was a stark reminder that sometimes the most impactful moments are the ones that are least expected. Clint had spent decades surrounded by fame and admiration, but it was this humble encounter with a stranger that left a lasting impression. The driver had never asked for anything in return, never even questioned who Clint was. It made Clint realize how often people overlooked the everyday heroes, the ones who do good without seeking recognition. The story of the tire change quickly became more than just a minor incident. It became a lesson in humility, respect, and the power of selflessness. Clint decided that this was a story worth sharing. Clint couldn't let the moment pass without acknowledging the impact it had on him. Weeks later, during an interview, he shared the story of the truck driver, not as a celebrity recounting an encounter, but as a man humbled by the genuine kindness of a stranger. He spoke about the importance of doing good for the sake of others without expecting anything in return. The interviewers, taken aback by Clint's sincerity, found themselves moved by the story as well. It wasn't just a tale of a blown tire. It was a reminder that heroism often comes in the most unassuming forms. The story resonated far beyond the studio, with viewers reflecting on their own lives and the quiet moments of kindness they could offer to others. The story of the truck driver and the tire change spread across social media, sparking a wave of positive reactions. People from all walks of life shared their own stories of selfless acts, reminding one another of the quiet, unsung heroes in everyday life. Clint's words had inspired a movement, one that encouraged individuals to perform acts of kindness without seeking recognition. The truck driver, completely unaware of the ripple effect his small gesture had created, continued his work on the road, never knowing he had become part of something much larger. Clint, however, felt a deep sense of gratitude, realizing that sometimes the greatest impact comes from the simplest of actions. As the months passed, Clint Eastwood reflected on that moment often. It had become more than just a story. It had become a reminder of the true value of humility, kindness, and human connection. His life, filled with accolades and attention, had shown him the importance of giving back to others, but this simple encounter with the truck driver reminded him that sometimes the most meaningful actions are the ones done without a desire for recognition. Clint began to share the story more frequently, using it as a tool to inspire those around him. What started as a small act of generosity had blossomed into a lesson for people far beyond the highway that day. It had touched lives, opened hearts, and created a chain reaction of compassion that no one had expected. Clint's story gained more attention when he visited a community event months later, where the truck driver had unknowingly become a symbol of the quiet heroes that often go unnoticed. The audience, moved by the story, shared their own experiences of small acts of kindness that had deeply impacted their lives. Clint spoke passionately about the power of these actions, stressing that sometimes it's not the grand gestures that change the world, but the small, selfless ones. The story spread like wildfire, inspiring people to act with kindness and integrity in their everyday lives. What began as a simple tire change had turned into a movement, a reminder that heroism doesn't always come with a spotlight. As the movement grew, Clint Eastwood became more involved in championing acts of kindness and generosity. The truck driver, now a quiet hero in his own right, remained unaware of the profound effect he had on the world. Clint, however, made sure to honor him, without fanfare, by speaking about the importance of such unsung heroes in every opportunity he got. His message continued to inspire people everywhere to look for ways to contribute to their communities, no matter how small the action. People began to realize that change could start with just one act of kindness, and soon, that simple gesture, changing a tire on the side of the road, became a symbol of humanity's potential for good. Months later, a surprise arrived. The truck driver, who had remained a humble figure throughout it all, was recognized by a local community organization for his selflessness. The ceremony was simple, but the impact was profound. Clint Eastwood, along with Keanu Reeves, attended the event, quietly applauding the driver for his role in inspiring a movement of kindness. The event wasn't about giving accolades to a celebrity, but about acknowledging a regular person who had unknowingly made a difference. The message was clear. Heroism exists in everyday actions. Clint and Keanu knew this was a moment that encapsulated everything they stood for. True strength lies in humility and the willingness to help others without seeking recognition. The story of the truck driver, Clint Eastwood, and the kindness that rippled outwards reached its final chapter. What began with a simple act of changing a tire had grown into a movement that inspired countless individuals to perform their own acts of kindness. The truck driver, who had never sought recognition, now saw his actions reflected in the hearts of many. Clint's quiet advocacy had turned a personal moment into a powerful reminder that true greatness is often found in the most humble of actions. As the event closed, Clint shared one last thought. Sometimes it's not the grand gestures that change the world. It's the small, selfless acts that ripple out, one life at a time. Please subscribe channel for Keanu Reeves Respect. Thanks.